Quick question before we start. If your husband or wife died tomorrow, do you actually know what happens to your joint bank account? Frozen? Split in half? Handed straight to you? Most people guess wrong. And guessing wrong, on the one day you can least afford a mistake, is how grieving families end up stuck for months over money that was already legally theirs. So let's settle this now, while it's just a hypothetical, instead of during a funeral week. And today I'm breaking down 3 myths about joint bank accounts after a spouse's death, what the bank actually does behind the counter, and the one 15-minute form that keeps your own kids from repeating this exact headache someday. Myth number 3 is the one almost nobody talks about, so stick around for it. This is the fear I hear the most, and for most married couples, it's simply not true. If your account was set up with something called rights of survivorship, ownership doesn't wait for a court, a lawyer, or even the will. It transfers to you automatically, the instant your spouse passes, not eventually instantly, by law. Picture Mark and Susan, married 34 years, one shared checking account in Ohio. When Mark passes, Susan doesn't call a lawyer. She drives to the bank with a certified death certificate, not a photocopy, the real thing. And by the end of that visit, the account simply has her name on it. No freeze, no waiting period, no probate judge deciding anything. Here's the part that surprises people. Even if Mark's will said something completely different about that money, it wouldn't matter. Survivorship rights sit above the will. That account was never really half his, half hers, waiting to be divided under most setups. It's already fully hers the moment he's gone. So, rule 1, get several certified copies of the death certificate, 8 to 10. Honestly, you'll hand them to the bank, Social Security, the pension office, insurance, the DMV. They add up fast. But a joint account doesn't work the same everywhere. And this is where a lot of well-meaning advice online gets people in trouble, because it assumes every state plays by the same rules. Take Elena and Robert, same 30-plus years of marriage as Mark and Susan, except they live in California. California is what's called a community property state, along with Arizona, Idaho, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin. In those 9 states, a joint account isn't automatically all yours, the way Susan's was in Ohio. It can be treated as owned 50-50, meaning half may need to pass through the estate will, executor, sometimes probate, instead of transferring straight to the survivor. Same grief, same paperwork drawer, completely different outcome, just because of a state line. There's a second layer people miss too, estate tax. Nationally, the federal exemption in 2026 is $13.99 million, so almost nobody pays federal estate tax. But roughly 17 states plus Washington, D.C. run their own separate estate or inheritance tax, and some kick in far lower. Massachusetts, Oregon, and Maryland, for example, can start taxing estates worth as little as $1 million. If that's anywhere close to your situation, that's a conversation for a tax professional, not a guess. Now here's the myth nobody warns you about, and it's the one that actually determines what your own kids deal with someday. People assume that once the account's in your name, you're finished. 2 things to know. First, the money itself isn't new taxable income to you, since you already had ownership in that account. Inheriting the rest isn't a taxable event, but any interest the account earns after the date of death belongs to you now, and it is reportable going forward. Second, and this is the big one, that account just stopped doing the job it used to do. While your spouse was alive, that joint account with survivorship was quietly keeping both of you out of probate. Now that you're the sole owner, it isn't protecting anyone anymore. It's just a regular account again, sitting there, waiting to become someone else's paperwork problem. The fix takes 15 minutes. Ask your bank for a payable on death form, a POD beneficiary. It's usually free, and it means that when it's eventually your turn, the account skips probate entirely and goes straight to whoever you name. No court, no waiting, no family stuck at a bank counter wondering what happens next, the way you might be wondering right now. So here's what this looks like in real life. Strip down to 3 moves. 1, order those death certificates, more than you think you'll need. 2, walk into the bank and ask directly, does this account have right of survivorship, or is it community property? Don't assume, ask. 3, once it's yours, add a POD beneficiary and update your will with an estate attorney. So the next generation isn't figuring this out for the first time during their own worst week. One more thing worth a quick mention. If your joint account isn't with a spouse, say, it's with an adult child who helps manage your finances, the rules shift. The IRS pays closer attention to who actually put the money in, and withdrawals by that child could, in some cases, count as taxable gifts, though the $18,000 annual gift exclusion in 2026 covers most everyday amounts. Different situation, different conversation, worth a quick check with an accountant if it applies to you. Here's what I want you to walk away with. Money that's already legally yours shouldn't require a fight to get. If your account has survivorship rights, the bank's job is just to update the paperwork, not to gatekeep your own life savings. If you're in one of those 9 community property states, check your titling before you need to, not after. And that 15-minute POD form, do it today, not eventually, because eventually has a bad habit of arriving without warning. If this made something confusing feel a little more manageable, send it to someone who might need it, a parent, a sibling, a friend already going through this. And if you want to know exactly what changed in banking rules this year that affects accounts like these, I've got a video on that right here. See you there.